If you guys watched my last video, then you probably were expecting this part too. But in the last video, I mentioned how 57% of Americans, per a survey done by YouGov, have saved less than $10,000. So I also mentioned that some issues are just because things are super expensive now, and maybe your job just doesn't pay enough. Or how some other issues I've seen are either people haven't really learned much about their how to handle basic finances, or there's the issues of only planning for today. So if you haven't watched that, then you can go ahead and watch that. I'll leave a link in my description. But now for this video, I have even a few more common challenges to talk about and basically advice from me on what you can do about it. So that is going to be what this video is about. So we're Americans, or if you aren't, at the least you're probably living in a country that follows capitalism. Since birth, we've been taught to spend money. So you see things like Valentine's Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, weddings, all sorts of reasons to spend. And I've known people who literally go into debt to make sure that they celebrate every single occasion. And in our culture, I know these things are really important. But as capitalists, many holidays have generally been greatly capitalized on, meaning there's a lot of money spent to influence you to spend even more, and that's done without regard for your own budget. And sometimes they're also intended to make you buy things that you don't even really want, referring to you impulse buys. And that's basic consumer psychology. When you're lining up to check out, you're surrounded by small items, foods, or candies, and that's just one example of a setup that is intended to make you impulse buy something last minute. And many of us also have trusted people in our circle of loved ones, but many of them grew up in the same culture of spending. So something to watch out is the halo effect, where because you have a good opinion of them or a high opinion, you assume that everything else they do is good or all the knowledge they have is good. And it's also just because where you love them and you trust them, it doesn't mean that you should assume they're an expert at everything, despite whether that's good intentions or bad intentions. Because ultimately we are responsible for ourselves. So even if you engage with other people and accept their opinions, or even if you hire experts to advise you, in the end you should aim to work up enough knowledge so that you can actually provide oversight. So take some time to build some of your own basic finance knowledge, because again, in the end, if you don't, the only one that's going to pay for it is yourself. This one is actually a bit tied to number one, but I am a frugal person and I've made a few videos on frugality. And here are some of the common complaints that I hear sometimes. Many people think that frugality means you're just cheap and stingy, or they like to say that it's un-American or hurting capitalism, or it's communism. Or if everyone was frugal, then the economy would suffer. The irony is that I think a lot of these comments are actually from people who want to be rich themselves, but haven't yet made the connection that the rich people they aspire to be are actually very frugal. Because frugal doesn't mean that you don't spend money at all. That's not really possible. It means that you strategically choose to spend or invest your money to best reach your goals. For example, and this is an extreme example, but if you hate chocolate bunnies, don't just keep buying and eating chocolate bunnies day after day with your entire paycheck. If all it is to you is considered torture and a road to diabetes, just so you can help the American economy. Instead, think about how you want to use your money on things that you really enjoy, and maybe things that help you get to where you want to be. So maybe if you really like video games, you can spend money on playing video games or buying video games. If you like books, then go ahead and spend some money on that. Maybe some professional certifications that can help you get a raise or open up new job opportunities. That's also really good. Or investing your money so that it can hopefully grow and build up your retirement savings. The idea is financial strategy, and you want to use your money so you can get the most value out of it. And I would suggest think of managing your finances like a business. Most successful businesses I know of are in the business of making money. If they buy nice fancy clothes, it's not to wear or let sit away in a closet. It's to sell for a profit. If they buy luxury fast cars, it's not to road race with some punk that they've never met before on the street. It's a rent or sell for a profit. And I'm not saying that everything you do has to be motivated by money, but what you do should be done with purpose and thought behind it, and actions should be according to your goals or aligned with your goals. And as a last note here, I would suggest being open-minded, because I've noticed that a lot of people are very resistant to things that they haven't really thought deeply about before, but are instead usually just adopting the opinion of someone or someone's, or something else that told them to think that way. And that can lead you to miss some valuable things that could have helped you get to your goals faster. So my motto has usually been to take what is helpful or what is useful and discard what is not. Now, I've seen this issue sometimes where it leads to inaction, and in my mind, I have two viewpoints. One is idealistic, where I wish this could be and I hope this was, but the other viewpoint is usually a pragmatic viewpoint, because I know we don't live in a perfect or ideal world, and many times things just aren't fair or equal, or else we'd be all equally rich and living our best lives. But an issue I've seen is when someone focuses too hard on what should be and not enough on what they need or can do despite the situation not being perfect. And I'm not saying I hate political activists or people who spend a lot of time fighting for what they think is right, and what I'm about to say usually doesn't apply to organized activists because they mostly have their affairs in order. But some people I've noticed get so deep into venting about how the situation is not perfect that they don't leave enough time or desire to think about living in the current world that they're in. And I'll sometimes see conversations between people where someone mentions a bad situation, someone else offers advice, but then all the other person does is talk about how food or housing or clothing should all be free. And sometimes the mindset I've seen here is more about how you can win the argument and how your situation is the worst, rather than actually exhaust all of your thoughts and options to get out of the bad situation that you're in. So think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which starts at basic needs like food, water, and safety. And you need all those things before you can actually move up the pyramid to do other things. So ultimately, in my mind, you need to take care of your very essentials first before you have the ability to do anything else. So budget and focus on making sure that you or your children have your basic needs before anything else, because you can't build an empire or change and save the world if you're unable to help yourself. So on that note, that's about all I have for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, then please hit the like button, leave me a comment, please subscribe. Thank you so much.